Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. So in this week's video, we are going to discuss my complication that I faced after having a vertical sleeve gastrectomy surgery on April 19th, 2021. Real quickly, I wanted to stop and kind of backtrack to my last video. Something I forgot to mention was after surgery for about 7 to 10 days. I had to give myself a shot in the stomach. It was a heparin shot. It's just to prevent blood clots. It's a little needle. They always say it doesn't hurt. It's not that big of a deal. And it really isn't, unless you're someone like me that absolutely hates needles. So giving myself the shot was the issue. Like, it really didn't hurt, but it was just psyching myself up to like stabbing myself in the stomach with a needle. But I just wanted to bring that up because it is something I forgot to mention in my last video and I wasn't actually aware of until after my surgery. So I wanted to let you guys know. So you're kind of given all the facts that I can give you. And then real quickly, if I just divert my eyes a few times, I have my laptop over here with my whole timeline of what happened, when it happened, just so I can keep track. So going into what happened to me. So about a month post-op, I started getting really nauseous. I couldn't keep anything down. Every time I would eat something, I would throw it back up. It got to the point where I couldn't even keep water down. I would just throw it back up. And, you know, you already have a tiny tummy where you're not eating much. So there's not much to throw up. So I got to the point where I was dry heaving. And this was only a month post-op. So I'm still healing. I'm still recovering. So it was painful to keep throwing up all the time. So I thought something was wrong. Like I thought like there was something wrong with my stomach. You know, what was going on? So I went to the ER for the first time on May 16th. They did do a CT scan of my abdomen. They couldn't see anything wrong with my stomach or with the surgery. So what they did was just took me up to IV fluid for a while, got me rehydrated, and then sent me home. I did end up consulting with my bariatric surgeon, told him what was going on. Honestly, he didn't seem too concerned. He was like, well, as long as you're drinking water, you know, you're good. Just focus on drinking water. If you can eat, but just mainly focus on drinking water. So I did try that, but it didn't work. Like I said, I was throwing up even water, so I couldn't keep it down. And, you know, if anyone's ever been dehydrated before, you're getting weak, you're tired, you're lethargic. So this went on for a while. Over the course of the next few weeks, I went to the ER 2 more times. I went to an urgent care once just to get IV fluids because I was told that that's actually something that my local urgent care could do, was just to get you fluids. So I did that. All we could really find out through the course of all of this was the doctor just thinks I was in this horrible vicious cycle of being dehydrated, where I was dehydrated, so it was making me nauseous, but because I was nauseous, I couldn't keep anything down like water to get me rehydrated. So I was just in this horrible vicious cycle of being sick and not being able to get better. The other thing that didn't help is because I couldn't keep anything down, I couldn't take my depression medicine. So I was an emotional wreck on top of all of this. And God bless my mother for putting up with me through all of this. I don't know how she did it, because I was frustrated and emotional. It was just horrible. The only good thing is at this point I had lost about 40 pounds. So there is a plus to that. You know, you can't eat, so you're losing weight. But that's not good. You know, the weight loss is good, but not for this reason. So this lasted about a month of getting sick and not keeping anything down. The doctor finally decided that something else had to be done. So on June 17th, almost a month to the day, the doctor decided to get a PICC line placed. What a PICC line is a central line that's inserted into your arm. I actually still have a tiny little scar there. And it's a central line that's placed into your arm, and it actually goes up your arm, through here, and into somewhere in your chest. It's like the main vein leading into your heart. And what it is it's just so you can have direct access to get hydration and nutrition placed. it's a great thing to have, but for me, it freaked me out because, like before, I hate needles. I hate the idea of something being in my skin. Like, I hate having blood draws or an IV. Just the idea of something being in my skin just freaks me out. I hate it. Um, but I knew it was the best thing for me. And at this point, I was desperate for relief. So I would do anything that I needed to do. Um, so with that, they did start me out with doing just saline for hydration. Um, but it was weird. For some reason, that made me feel even sicker, instead of making me feel better. But this only lasted about a day of just straight hydration. The next day, I went to the clinic to get started on what's called TPN. This is a kind of like a medical formula that is specially done for you or whoever needs to have the TPN. Has all the nutrition and everything that is needed, especially designed for you. You get hooked up to the PICC line, to this nutrition. For me, I had to be hooked up to it for 16 hours a day. The way it kind of worked out is I would hook up at 1 p.m. and disconnect at 5 a.m. So it kind of sucked being woken up in the middle of the night. And also trying to sleep with this, being connected to this bag the whole time. Sleep didn't happen very well, but that's okay. It needed to be done. So you're hooked up to this bag of fluid. So you're carrying around an actual like tote bag. I'm going to try and insert clips or pictures of what I had, like the TPN bag, the bag that was hooked up, the pump that is connected to it. And I had to learn how to do all of this myself. So I had to learn how to mix up the vitamins in the syringes that needed to be inserted into the TPN bag to add the additional nutrition. And then I had to learn how to connect all of that to the pump, had to learn how to flush the lines before and after the TPN. I also had to do a heparin flush after the TPN. Again, this is to prevent blood clots. So I had to learn how to do all of that. Now the good thing is I did have a home health nurse that would come once a week. She was mainly coming to see how I was doing, but also to take a blood draw, and change my dressing. So they have to keep the PICC line area completely sterile. It has to be cleaned and dressed and handled very sterile because it's a direct access point to your heart. So you don't want to get it infected. So she would come once a week. The reason they did the blood draw once a week was so that they could adjust your TPN, that nutritional formula, to where you're at. So like if something is starting to go down on your levels, they would add that into your bag of formula. So they would just fluctuate. Once a week, there was a courier service that would pick up all of my medical supplies and the mixed TPN for me. It was actually out of about an hour away is where this clinic was. So a courier service would go pick it up, bring it actually directly to my house. So for the time I had my PICC line, my kitchen and my downstairs just looked like a mini hospital with all of the bags. I had a whole shelf in our fridge that was just full of this TPN because it had to be refrigerated, and there were these big bags, and just all the medical supplies all over the house. It just looked like a mini hospital. But it is what it is. So with that, the one downside to having the TPN is it's very high in calorie because this is all that you're getting. So they inject calories into it. But it was a little bit too high of calories for me. So I ended up gaining about 15 to 20 pounds while I was on this TPN, which for someone that just had weight loss surgery and had lost 40 pounds, and then you're gaining back weight because of something you can't help, was really frustrating. And again, during all of this, I'm still not taking my depression medicine. So again, bless my mom, I was an emotional wreck through all of this. I just wanted this PICC line out of my arm. I hated being connected to this bag. I couldn't go anywhere. I mean, I could go somewhere. I just didn't want to because you're dragging around this pump. You have this big old bandage wrapped around your arm. It is in the middle of the summer, so it's not like you're wearing a sweatshirt to cover it up. You can't really cover it up anyway because you got this long line going through or coming from your arm. It was just frustrating, very frustrating and upsetting. But you know, if it wasn't for that, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, I probably would have been fine eventually, but I needed to do it. Um, so the whole time I am on the PICC line, I am slowly trying to eat little bits every now and then, drinking water as much as I can, as often as I can, because in order to actually get the PICC line removed, I had to be able to keep food down. But the big thing was is I had to be able to keep a certain amount of liquid down. I believe it was about 40 ounces before they would be willing to remove the PICC line. So I had the PICC line for 6 weeks, 6 long weeks. And when it was removed, oh my God, it was such a relief to not be connected to that machine anymore. Once it was removed, I was doing good. You know, I didn't have any more issues. Kind of started my eating where I left off. So I was on the soft food stage when this happened. So I started eating the soft food again before I went to the general diet. So my kind of timeline for eating wasn't like everyone else's because I had this hiccup for 6 weeks in between everything. But it is what it is. Again, it was a complication, but like I've said in my past video, it was a complication and it sucked. But I would go through that again to be where I am now because I'm so much happier and healthier. I'm down 118 pounds. It sucked. It really did. But I would do it again. So I don't want this video to be something discouraging for you. I want you to just know of what could possibly happen and what to look out for. You know your body, so listen to your body and push the doctors. They're not in your body. That's my biggest thing is doctors are fantastic. I have so much respect for doctors, but they can only listen to you and go from past experiences. So if you feel like there is something wrong with you, keep pushing them. I probably drove my doctor's office crazy, but you know what? I was desperate. I needed answers. I wanted help. I needed relief. So just listen to your body and stand up for yourself. So that being said, that was my issue after having the vertical sleeve gastrectomy. So my next video, what I think I'm going to do is just kind of talk about the eating after that, where I am now, how the weight loss is going, you know, all of that. So if there's anything that you want to know about what I talked about now, in the past, if you have any questions about anything, something I left out that you're interested in knowing, or just want to know how it went for me, please leave anything down below, questions, comments, concerns, you know, the whole shebang. I'm more than happy to help. That's why I'm making these videos, is to educate and help at least even one person. So yeah, I would love for you to like this video and subscribe for my future videos. And yeah, come back and watch more. Bye guys.